Hi guys, it's Zach and Tom from Boosters and Brews. We're going to do our top 5 each favorite cards of Fate Reforged. This is just a simple preference of our top 5. No like hype trains, no value, no nothing. We just want the ones we're most interested in. And we're going to start going back and forth, 5 through 1. We'll do a little debate on why we want each one in our list and why we think it shouldn't be in each other's. I did a quick look through before we started. We have one that's the same, so oh well. We didn't get together before we did it. I'm sure it'll be fine. And we're going to start off with a quick little honorable mention with my limited player showing in me. It's the common cycle of dragons.
Uncommons.
Are they uncommon?
Yeah, they're uncommon.
Oh. Either way, they're going to show up. They're going to be a huge deal when you're playing limited. They're going to be super bomby. And I have made it my personal goal already to be the first person in our play group to get to Dragon Punch someone. I want to draft the Green Dragon, I want to draft Savage Punch, and I want to punch someone hard. And it will be funny, and I will enjoy it a lot. So if you want to go with your number 5.
Okay, so for my number 5 pick, I went with Ugin. No surprise, I really should. No surprise that showed up on a list, I guess.
Yeah.
I like that personally because it's going to be really great in EDH, and that's kind of what I'm looking at it for. Like me and Zach were discussing, it might show up in like some sort of finisher in a control deck in Standard, possibly like a Tron deck in Modern. But I mean, for being colorless, you can stick it in any EDH deck, and that's kind of what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, it's a floater. It can do a lot of different jobs. I could definitely see it. Well, if the meta allows it, I could definitely see Standard. It could be the blue-black finisher. I mean, it's not the most decisive finisher, but he would eventually get there. And I could definitely see him coming into play in Mono Blue Tron somewhere down the line if Karn falls out of favor, or if they want to run maybe one of each or 2 of each, just to mix it up, give them multiple answers for different things.
Yeah, I suppose that would kind of work out, because then you could do like, turn, what would it be, like 3 or whatever, in Magical Christmas Land. Karn,
Yeah.
turn 4, that, and you don't have to sack one because no legend rule kicks in or anything like that. So.
Yeah, having both colorless walkers on the field would be a very, very large advantage by turn 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, you can just sit there and punch your opponent for 3 each turn, so...
Yep, definitely counts. Okay, so my number 5 is Crux of Fate. I looked at this card and I fell in love with it. Black needed that board wipe that wasn't Perilous Vault. Perilous Vault does the job that it needs to, and it's good, but it's too slow. Like, it leaves too many opportunities for opponents to decide whether or not they want to commit to board, like with the Perilous Vault sitting there. 9 mana is way too much for a board wipe for a deck to be competitive, and yet they still managed to bring it to top 8 in Pro Tour. So I look for big things with the blue-black control deck after this. It's not a decisive board wipe, like you have to choose, and if dragons start running rampant, this could actually fall out of favor as a pretty bad board wipe when you're only taking out maybe 2 of their creatures and leaving their bomb dragon behind, or taking their dragon out and leaving their 2 little guys, like... But
we still have Ingarrick's Wake.
Yeah. That suffers from the Perilous Vault problem.
Yeah, that's...
Either way.
But, alright, so for my number 4 pick, I went with Flamewake Phoenix. I feel like that card could be pretty good and limited. It's a 2/2, but you're swinging each turn and it comes back. Also, I'd be surprised if it didn't see any type of Standard play. With some sort of like mono-red burn mono-red devotion rather, or even an aggressive deck of any type, I suppose, like your Mardu or even a Jeskai. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ash Cloud's already seen play in the red-green power deck, and I mean that could definitely slip in there as the 3-drop. I mean, digging through. It plays Fnatic as the 3-drop, but Ash Cloud has more evasion. It's not as powerful, but it has recursion, so I mean, it could definitely find its way in.
Okay. Yeah, I thought Fnatic was 4-drop.
No, it's 3.
Oh, okay.
It's a 4/4. Or a 3/3 with Tribute 1, which makes it a 4/4.
Oh, okay, yeah. Never mind, I'm thinking of the wrong card.
Okay, so My number 4 is Reality Shift. Now, my extended player is showing Reality Shift falls into that same category of love that I had for Swan Song. They're both very situationally good cards that are extremely powerful in the right spot, but may fall into the not as great camp. I mean, 2-mana removal is 2-mana removal in Standard, and that's a huge deal. Anything that plays blue will play this card in Standard. I can almost guarantee it. But there is also that risk of manifesting something that could end up terrible for you in the long run. Like, you get rid of their, let's say we're playing against mono green, or the green-red deck again is an example, and you get rid of their Fanatic or their Boon Satyr or something, and you manifest, and then they flip up a Pelucranos with their manifest card. I mean, that ends up being way worse for you in the long run. But then again, it would also probably be more of a boarded out card in a very creature-heavy deck, as you're only leaving yourself more vulnerable with not knowing. It's another mystery you have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Reality Shift. I think it's better than Swan Song because it's not conditional.
Yeah, it's not a counter spell. You can use it at any time. It makes it a lot better. It's 1 mana more, but
yeah, but I mean, well, and then you say it's it might be bad if they manifest something, but at the other time, on the other hand, if you manifest something that they don't want manifested, you're messing with their deck.
That's true.
Especially funny if they have a Courser on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be just funny. Get rid of their Courser and then they manifest, an instant or sorcery or something.
That's true. You even know what the top card is there. I see that as being a very valuable card there. It also it looks like a very, very attractive card for other formats. I could see it being very good in Modern. It makes a lot of sense against decks like Blue-Red Delver, where anything you manifest is no scarier than when they play it normally. Like, it's no bigger of a drawback. So.
And I was actually even thinking like I've got my white-blue Merfolk deck. I mean, I could just go straight mono blue and then.
Yeah, that's good removal. It definitely fits in.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely got its place, and I really like the card because it does something that typically what blue doesn't do.
That's true. It is off the color wheel there, being creative, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, with Gate Crash, they had Rapid Hybridization.
Yeah, another card that I enjoyed a lot. I definitely played that in Standard when it was there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think in Limited it's gonna be a very high picked.
Yeah, very desired removal.
Yes. Let's see. My number 3 was Collateral Damage, and the reason I went with that is I feel, I don't know, I like the idea of a burn deck in Standard, and in the right build, like a Jeskai build, if you have Rabble Master or Monastery Mentor, you're gonna have tokens out there that are just super disposable, and 3 to your opponent's face for a single red is, awesome. I mean, if you look at everything that, Lightning Bolt or even a similar spell of that nature does in your modern burn decks, I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with the power there.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not Lightning Bolt. Or
yeah.
There'd be way more freaking out about this card. It is a situational Lightning Bolt, which is still a Lightning Bolt. I definitely see it being played in Standard, and people will enjoy it. Now, whether or not it makes as big of an impact as some people want it to, I'm unsure. I do think that it will have a home in a deck. I'm just not exactly sure what that deck will be. If it's going to be a Jeskai deck, or if we're going to lean more towards the Boros Burn, drop the blue for inconsistency, and then, I mean, that means you can play Raise the Alarm for sure, and Hordling Outburst for sure. I mean, like, there will be countless tokens, countless, if you go that way.
For sure.
And that will definitely, you will always have a target for that, which makes it a lot more reliable.
And like the other thing I was thinking too is you can use it, I wouldn't say so much as a combat trick, but if you're blocking something huge, you're just chump blocking for 4 damage, hit them in the face for 3.
That's also true.
But anyways.
Good little extra add-on.
Yep.
Okay, so my next one. Okay, so next up is Warden of the First Tree. Now, I really like this card. It brings back nostalgic feelings because I've played Magic for quite a while and I have a very expansive collection, and it instantly brought me back to a card that I used to love still love, used to play. And that's Figure of Destiny. It's a very, very similar card in a completely different way, but very much, it's formatted the same, it's stylized the same, it's a step 1, 2, 3 process, kind of like the level ups, but not really. It instead changes the overall creature as opposed to its abilities, which is actually a pretty interesting way to go about it. The big advantage with this one is there's no ceiling. Like when you get to the top, you just can keep pumping, whereas when Figure of Destiny, you got it to the 8/8, it was stuck. That was it. It wasn't going anywhere. I mean, it was almost unanswerable at that point when it got there, but it just stopped. This one is going to be very, very powerful in anything that it's played in. It's going to be a lot of fun in EDH, and I mean, in Limited, it's going to be unreal. It's going to be, like, mythic, so not going to happen as often as people would want it to, but it's going to be very Wingmate Rock-esque. It's going to be the bomb of all bombs, at least I feel, in this format. Which, I mean, Wingmate Rock is still in, so maybe we'll see a square off at one point, and that would be intense. I'd like to see that game go down.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I can't really say much more about Warden than that you haven't already covered. I mean, you know, it's definitely a good card to have. I mean, you know, turn 1 you can drop it. You know, drop it pretty much whenever. And the best part is, I mean, it's a mana sink. So I mean, if you top deck that late game, you can just throw it down and it gets big right away.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not positive it's going to see a ton of standard play. It might slip in somewhere. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I still like it a lot as a card. So that's why it made my list.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. We got number 2?
Yep.
Okay. My number 2 went to Monastery Mentor. It's a phenomenal card. I like it. For 2 in the white, you can fit that in pretty much any deck. And I mean, creating tokens is always a good thing, but then tokens with prowess is way better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is also my number 2. This is our one that we had to double up on because this card is just, the power level is unreal. I mean, a 2/2 with prowess for 3 is not an unreal rate, but the ability that comes with it just brings it so far over the top that, I mean, it's gonna be in standard. There is no way in a million years that this card would not be played. I wouldn't be surprised if this card found its way into Modern somewhere. I don't know where, but I have a feeling it could have a home because, I mean, it's not just one creature. There's no way it would ever just be one creature. It's gonna populate, and those tokens are essentially as powerful as the creature that they're coming from. Like, it's only one more power and toughness.
Yeah, you're basically every turn you're almost essentially making Monastery Swift Spirit.
Yeah, basically. Well, I mean, not haste, but
no, but
still really, really, really powerful. Yeah. Good for making blockers on an opponent's turn, casts instant sorceries, pop up prowess guys in the way, cast another spell, pump them up, block. I mean, these are situational, yes, but there's no doubt that it has the power ceiling is very, very, very high. Although I will bring it to the forefront very quickly, probably not that great in Limited. I mean, it's a very build-around me card.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's... Well, and that's like anything... I shouldn't say necessarily Limited, but especially like in Draft, it's kind of hard to build around prowess. I mean, you really have to. You
have to commit to it very, very early. Like this, if this was a pack one, pick one, you could make an attempt. I don't know if it would always work out for you, but I mean, there's an attempt. But I mean, if you open this pack 2 or even like pack 3 and you're in Abzan colors, you're not going to do anything with it at that point. You're not going to have nearly enough. Like, you might play it just for the little upside. Oh, look, I made a dude for fun. But he's not going to be powerful. He'll just be a good card.
Exactly. Now, where, in sealed, like your pre-release, I think with that you have a little bit better shot of making it really good.
Yeah, you've got a lot more choice as to what to include. Exactly. You don't have to stay in a certain color set. Like, the clan colors are recommended because you get lots of interesting cards that are 3-colored, but the instants and sorceries that exist in those colors are very, very few. I think it's the charms, and that's about it for 3-color instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
Except for, like, like flying crane technique and stuff way over the top
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, with Fate Reforged coming out, it's a lot more monocolored.
Yeah.
There are actually quite a few 2-colored cards, but there are no actual 3-color cards in the set. So
Yeah.
it works very well towards, you could actually have a sealed pool and go 2 colors that wouldn't necessarily go together, or even go with a shard from Alara. You
Yep.
could end up playing Bant and make it work. It's a very versatile card, and it will see a lot of use in a lot of different places, I'm sure.
Okay. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is very, very Johnny of me. Mine is Hero's Blade. I love this card so much from the moment I set eyes on it. It is absolutely Commander MVP card. It will be in every good Commander deck. It basically fits in the same slot as Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. It's not as good, but it's just as powerful.
Yeah.
And I mean, it holds a special place in my heart because I see it doing more than just that. I want it to be modern played. I see it in a Geist deck. I want Geist to pick up this sword and be the scariest thing that anyone's ever laid eyes on. A 5/4 Geist coming at you with his 4/4 Angel Buddy will be fun to do, and I really want it to happen. And that's why this card is very, very firmly at my number 1 spot.
I can see it getting very, very interesting, and you're different constructed. And I think limited. I think it could be pretty good. I mean,
There aren't a ton of legendary creatures.
No, I think. Well, there's the dragons, and that's just. I mean, if that's on the field, the dragon hits, you just cry then.
Yeah, there's the dragons and the clan leaders. So I mean, there's 10 to begin with.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not unreasonable. Unfortunately, they're all rare.
Yeah.
So I mean, the blade's an uncommon, so it's definitely doable. I mean, you pick up a good legendary creatures, your pack 1 pick 1, or your pack 2 pick 1, and then you just punt the Hero's Blade for the rest of the draft.
I mean, and even worst case scenario, you equip it for 4. I mean.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable. It's not
No.
a bad equipment. It's just super powerful in the right
Yeah.
scenario.
And I don't know how it's going to work, but I mean, being a small set, I feel like your legendary cons and then the legendary dragons, I feel like they're going to get opened quite a bit. Like they're going to be just a.
Yeah, I mean, well, in true draft format, you only open 1 pack, so it's not super common. And then, I mean, you've
Yeah,
got
I
all the
suppose.
other legendaries from cons to go after, too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it still leaves probably just as many targets.
Yeah.
It just means that the likelihood of getting the blade is a little slimmer.
Yeah. And I mean, with drafting, double cons, single fate, I don't know. I would imagine the drafting the games are going to be pretty slow yet. With either
Yeah,
way.
I don't think it'll change up the format, of course. Like, it's going to happen. It makes Manifest a thing, which is a mess for Limited. But it definitely, it's going to make it different. Maybe I'm going to hope a little bit quicker. I'm tired of going to time.
Yeah, that is kind of super annoying. But yeah, definitely, I really want to foil one for Commander because, it pretty much reads just, cast your Commander and attach it to it. So.
Yeah.
So, my number 1 pick was Soulfire Grandmaster. I'm really psyched about that one.
Hype train.
I
No, I'm kidding. It's a good card. I can't deny that. It is a very interesting card.
Oh, for
I did
sure.
not see it coming in a million years.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
Yeah, and kind of, it was between that and Monastery Mentor, but for me, Soulfire Grandmaster, I was just really psyched about that because I play one of my modern decks is a Boros Burn, and I was just thinking of different ways. I mean, that's a lightning bolt becomes a lightning helix, and if for whatever reason you have if you're in a modern burn matchup, if it happens to go long or you get mana flooded, you can buy back your spells, which, I mean...
Yeah, it's a super powerful card. It does a lot for the burn decks. Not that they needed a ton of help. They were already definitely playable. I mean, they're always present. They're never going to go away. I just think this one's going to bring standard burn back as a thing. I mean, I can see this actually would be the prime example of where collateral damage would probably slip right in. If you run basically a red-white tokens deck with 4 of this guy, I mean, I can't see it being bad to be able to lightning helix with the drawback of sacking a guy.
Yeah, and And again, kind of with Monastery Mentor, it's definitely going to have to be in a deck that's built around it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, you can't, but I mean, and that's even, you can even slip that into like some of the black decks where, they deal X damage or, whatever damage and then.
Yeah, no, it definitely has a lot of different availability to it. I mean, that's part of its draw. That's why everyone's so excited about it. Again, though, I will loop back to the it will be terrible in limited argument.
For sure.
I hate when the money cards are awful. Like, people are gonna hate draft them or money draft them or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it sucks because I do it too, and it makes me mad because it's wasting a good draft pick on a card that won't pull its weight. Especially this card, because it's not like you're gonna draft 3 Stoke the Flames with your wonderful card to make it absolutely over the top. It's just not going to happen. Even if you get 1 collateral damage with it, it's not even that crazy. Like, that's the ceiling. It's done. It's not good. But hopefully, maybe in sealed it might have a little more impact. I don't know. I don't plan on playing a ton of sealed, so we'll have to see.
That's going to be pretty hard. Sealed, I think it's going to be pretty. It's just almost as hard as even a draft format. Because I mean, there's well,
the burn is very limited in cons in general, so it makes it not unreal. But the ability to buy back makes it good for late game. It just means that you want to hold your burn spells till then, which isn't necessarily.
Well, I mean, your buyback is on instant and sorcery, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a burn spell.
Which is true. That is very true.
Also, I mean,
I guess making reality shift happen over and over again could be good.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. And also, too, I mean, I was thinking about, too, like, they have that Sandblast. I mean, that's 5 damage. There's actually, coming to think of it, there's actually quite a bit of...
Didn't even consider that. Sandblast is a very powerful card with that card.
Yeah. And if you happen to open that card in, double cons or something like that, you get Crater Claws or Mind Swipe or some, ridiculousness like that.
I still don't think it will be as powerful as it will be in its constructed formats, but it will still be a very powerful card in limited.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to add too is if you are playing a modern burn deck, it could be an alternate sideboard card instead of like Leyline of Sanctity for the mirror matchups. Because I mean, if you play in a burn deck, if you play any deck that has any amount of life gain, it's so hard to outrace that.
It's just going to make the modern burn mirrors go to time, and it's going to be hilarious to watch when they're basically throwing lightning bolts back and forth at each other, which would normally just be a race and someone would die in the end, except instead they're just net neutraling themselves over and over and over, and no one will win. And it will be funny to watch.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. Yeah, I mean, pretty much constructed in modern for that one. I mean, definitely limited is going to be pretty much out of the question.
Yeah.
Any other thing we should? I was thinking we could also kind of discuss a little bit the mechanics too. What do you think? What do you think of them?
Yeah, they're interesting. I always like when we get new mechanics. I mean, I'm a big fan of returning because they bring back some of those deep down feelings for me. Like seeing Morph again was a lot of fun. I enjoy that mechanic.
And for like someone like me, I didn't play back when they had Morph, so it's kind of an interesting, it's a cool thing to check out for the first time, and it's
get to relive some of Magic's history.
Yeah, and I mean, before going to the cons pre-release, I was kind of skeptical about it. I didn't know how that was going to play out, but it is, especially in limited, it's very, very powerful. Drop something on turn 3 like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
basically everyone's always got a turn 3 play.
Yep.
Well, anyone who plays Morph, or is anyone who is good at limited cons.
This is true.
Which will bring me to my point of I do not like Manifest. I put Reality Shift in my list, I know, but I do not like Manifest. It makes people who are good at Magic bad because it makes every card a trick. There's no way to memorize the morphs and be good at knowing what your opponent has when it's like, manifest my creature. Oh look, I unmanifest a Siege Rhino. Now you die. It's like there's no being good at guessing morph or at manifest. I mean, it's just gonna happen.
On the plus side, the enter battlefield effects don't trigger. So
that's valid, but not. It doesn't make it better for me.
I kind of agree with you, but I kind of disagree. It depends on the card, because there's the one blue card. It's right into being, I think it is. You basically you look at the top two cards, manifest one of them, and you put the other one on the top or bottom. And
that's a powerful card. I enjoy that card.
And that one's, to me, yeah, you can make it so that, you put something huge down that you can flip up, or you can just screw with your opponent. Be like, okay, well, there's a land I don't need. What is it?
That's true. Sorry, I guess I will rephrase that. I will not enjoy playing against Manifest. Playing the cards with Manifest will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be kind of a neat thing to check out. I think pre-release is going to be kind of a mess because of it, but
it's going to be interesting. There will be a lot of unknowns and lots of people getting the hang of not knowing what morphs and manifests are, and they're actually different. And yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of bolster. It's a very defensive mechanic. I mean, offensive in the sense of most of the bolster mechanics you have to die to get, or at least a good number of them. But
I think there's I can only recall one card from the set, but
there's a couple that are die, there are a couple that are enter the battlefield, and there are a couple that just have them tacked on just here and there.
Yeah.
There's the one that's actually fetch a land bolster one.
Yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of that card.
Yeah.
That almost made my list.
I think there's another one too that's it's a white one. It's you bolster one and it's target player sacrifices enchantment and bolster one.
Yeah. I mean, there's like removal and stuff that are like revolving around it as well. It's a very interesting mechanic. It has a lot of interesting intricacies that people might not see off the bat. Like when there are multiple creatures on the field, you get to choose which one, and you don't pick a target until the spell actually resolves. So if they kill your creature, you can just target something else. It's a very interesting way that they worded it. It's actually kind of nice.
You technically don't target anything.
Yeah, you
don't choose it.
You don't get 2-for-1 at all with that card, which is very nice to have, unless there's no target, I guess. But that doesn't happen very often in Cons Limited. There's always something there.
Yeah. I like that mechanic too. I mean, it brings me back to like what we discussed too. Like, was it Dromoka? Is that I think that's the Selesnya one.
Yeah.
The dragon. That one's just. I mean, it's only a bolster 2, but I mean,
bolster 2 adds up when you can do it every single turn.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, any of the creatures that have bolster on them are, I really like them. They're instantly awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially that Mastodon one, I think is what it is. The elephant one or whatever it is.
Yeah. Siege Mastodon?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. There's too many sieges in this set. They all got blended in together for me.
Yeah.
And that brought me to another one that isn't a mechanic, but I mean, it's a keyword, so it makes me think of it as a mechanic. I don't like the legendary dragons in this set because they all rely on other dragons, which doesn't make them good, because that means you have to play other certain cards, and that basically just made Scion and EDH the deck to beat in Johnny EDH, not French competitive. But I mean, when you can play 5-color dragons, and you have 5 dragons that all give huge boosts when other dragons do things, it's just going to bring it so far above the rest. I'm afraid of it. I'm glad no one has one in our play group. I may be the first one to have one. I guess we'll see. But I really wish they wouldn't have tied all the dragons to other dragons. I understand that that's the whole unity thing with all the dragons being back when they're back in time, but it's just not what I wanted.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Different reason. Mainly because I mean, I agree that I don't necessarily like that as much because, obviously it ties to other ones, but because, like, as far as the legendary ones go, like, I think Dromoka is probably the only one that is good by himself. because he bolsters, but the other, there might be another one too.
The blue-white one's pretty good. That one's the one that whenever you attack, you tap something for each attacking dragon, which is super powerful. But again, that's control colors, which is awesome. But you're not going to play other dragons in a control deck.
Yeah,
it's a very meh card. Like,
exactly.
It has the ability to be super powerful, but lots of those dragons are basically left out in the cold because they're not meant to be, like, they're meant to be played with other dragons with mechanics, but they're not meant to be played with other dragons because of their colors. Like, the blue-black one is the exact same state. Like, you don't want to play more dragons that are blue-black. Like,
at least it's not Mill.
That's true. I will give Wizards that. They made a blue-black legendary creature that doesn't do anything at all with Mill. Thank God. I am so sick of blue-black Mill commanders because that's all there are. And blue-black Mill is not good in Commander. It's not good in general. That's why it's not a standard deck.
It's good against one person.
Yeah, you can kill one person. You better choose wisely.
Yeah, I killed you, and then you're target.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what, a 3/7. So I mean, its butt kind of lends itself to Phoenix a bit.
Which is true. Then it'll just fit into that mess.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not a fan, but
it's
okay. It's like, don't get me wrong. They're all good. They're just good in their own ways, and I don't know if any of them will really see standard play. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's possible depending on the deck, and because I mean,
don't get me wrong. I am by no means a pre-deck building expert. I have no idea what to expect in Game Day or the Pro Tour or the first F&M even. I have no idea what people are going to do. Although, by knowing the past, usually the first F&M is people playing the decks that they had with whatever cards they think might be good in them. No one's really brewing a completely new idea for the first F&M. They just want to make it through. Especially because it's release weekend and you have an 18-hour span to get the cards you need because that's all they've been out for, which is hard enough as it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, any other, like, I'm drawing a blank on any other mechanics in the set. Are there any more?
Dash is the other new one.
Right, Dash. I actually don't mind Dash. It's
interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of the cards that have Dash on them, I actually was a pretty big fan of. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of enabling aggro because I'm a mid-range player by trade, but it definitely gives them a different way to go about things.
Yeah,
like they're not over-committing to the board, which was always aggro's biggest problem. Like if you want to kill them fast, you have to play your stuff out, but instead this just kind of gives you a repeatable, albeit slightly more expensive, almost bolt effect when you're basically slinging some amount of damage at them for some amount of mana and then it's gone. But I mean, it's better because it goes back to your hand. It's repeatable. So
yeah, it's alright. It's probably my least favorite mechanic. I would rather have seen Raid come back, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. I was kind of, shouldn't say surprised that Delve is back, but I don't know. Delve is a pretty decent mechanic. I like it, but
I like Delve Time Walk. I mean, it's not because it's triple blue, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
Having a triple blue take an extra turn, essentially, is fun. It makes it it's definitely going to be played in EDH.
Oh,
we'll go with that straight off the bat. I don't think it'll see standard play, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could kind of argue maybe like I don't even know what kind of a deck you could put it in standard, do you?
Oh, I'm sure you could brew something ridiculous up. I would put that in a Villainous Wealth deck. Because I just want a Villainous Wealth deck to be a thing. It's not good, but it's a thing, and it'd be funny. Yeah, I mean,
it's the problem. The main problem with it is it has to contend with Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time.
Yeah,
I mean,
which are completely different spells in a different way.
Oh,
and
yeah,
really,
but I mean,
in a roundabout sort of way when you look at it, Treasure Cruising is like taking 3 extra turns where there's no board state advancement. You just get 3 extra cards, which is a huge deal. Obviously, that's why there's so much talk about the ban list announcement coming up right away. We'll have to see what happens with that, but yeah, I mean, I'm still happy to see Delve back. It's an interesting mechanic, and I think the cards that use Delve will slot in well. I'm a big fan of the demon that eats the effects as you delve things. That's really cool.
Was a Soul Flare thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that'll see standard play, but it's a really fun card. Again, another fun EDH card.
Oh, that reminds me of the other black demon.
Oh, the sacrifice one.
Ugh.
Yeah, he's a nasty friend. to
Yeah,
have.
I mean,
I know where he's going. My black deck in EDH needed more sacrifice effects.
Oh,
that
I
is
hate
definitely something that it needed.
I very much hate sacrifice in EDH. Oh my god, do I hate it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what do you think of the different cycle? Like, what do you think of the legendary cons?
They're interesting. They all have their drawbacks and they all have their power levels. Like, I mean, the black one's really good. I know that because I didn't read enough into the set yet to know all their names, but I know that one sticks out in my head, so that must mean it's good. I know whatever it does is powerful. I don't think I like the blue one.
I'm not a big fan. I mean, the blue one could. I guess.
Do you remember what he does?
Can't remember if he's got. He has to have prowess, I would say. But whenever you cast non-creature spell, you can pay. It's a double hybrid, red or white,
Yeah.
and target creature gains double strike. So
Right, that's what it does. Okay, yeah. I'm not.
it's
It has its place, but
Yeah.
again, that's not something that blue normally does. Like, you're not being concerned about having this big attacker like a 5/5 that's going to double
Exactly.
strike all of a sudden and kill them. It's not likely to come up.
it's. I don't know. I
Also, for some reason, the white one's sticking out in my head. Or maybe it's the green one. It's one of the two. It's whichever one uses the Abzan colors. I know that's the one. It must be the green one. I'm pretty sure that's what
no,
it
the
is.
green one. The green one's the teamer one because that's Dragonclaw.
Right. Never mind. So it must be the white one.
I think the green ones would probably have to be one of my more favorite one because you get to it's active treason on a stick
Oh, yeah.
for 3.
See, I really should read more into spoilers, but I actually like discovering the cards more as I play them rather than having them all memorized beforehand. I'm not going to pre-release this time. It's a first for me in a long time. I don't know, I had things going on and I didn't feel as though the value for me was particularly high in this set. I mean, right now in Standard I'm playing Abzan aggro, so it's not pulling... Like, I looked over the cards, but I don't think it's pulling anything particularly powerful out of there. Whereas you, on Jeskai colors, have a million cards to be excited for. So, of course you're going.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I don't want to go, it's just that I have other engagements and I'd rather not back out on those just to go to a pre-release.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, and getting back to the legendary cons and whatnot, I'm not really too excited about them. I mean, anytime I see a legendary creature, I automatically think EDH, and
Yeah.
I don't think any of them would be really that good of a commander. I mean, maybe the red one, but
I mean, the good thing is they're all 3-color,
Yeah.
technically. So that means that they'll have their places. But we'll have to see.
yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's another thing for side notes for people. If they have the mana cost in their card that they have to pay, that means that they're that color. So those monocolored clan leaders are actually the same 3 colors as the clan leaders from the last set. You still have to play all 3 colors if you're going to play them in EDH.
Good for those guys, bad for the warden.
Yeah.
That's a super limiting thing on that. That's another reason why I kind of put it on my list, but.
I love it for different reasons, but I understand why Warden has a very small scope of why it would be fun and good.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
that just means I have to build a junk deck. Works for me. Or Abzan.
What do you think of the siege cycle?
You know, they're all over the place. They're very, very varied. Some of them seem to be, like, the power levels are just all over the place.
Yeah.
And their effects are all over the place. Like, having the green one add 2 mana to your mana pool each main phase that you have, so you get it twice, is a huge deal. But that means that you always have to have stuff to do or you just feel wasteful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is speaking from a standard perspective. Obviously that in like an Omnath deck or something would be ridiculous because you get basically, it pays for itself in a turn in your mana pool, which is kind of cool. But, I mean, I think my favorite one out of them was the black one,
I don't remember what that one does.
Citadel Siege. It's only the one effect really matters. It's the each opponent loses 2 life. Each upkeep, or each of their upkeeps. Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's good. I think it'll see control play. It's just a good, steady death, and they have to deal with it, or it turns their clock that much faster, especially with stuff like pain lands floating around and fetch lands, and like, you hurt yourself a lot in a game of Magic right now, especially in Standard. Like, I know playing Abzan aggro, I play 6 pain lands, 4 fetch lands, and 4 thought seizes. So I mean, sitting right there, I can essentially almost kill myself without any input from the other player. So having a card like that that's just a nice, slow, steady death is a big deal.
Yeah, I think my favorite one out of them is the blue one, followed up by the white one. The blue one I like just because it's you draw an extra card and you discard a card, so it's you're just card filtering.
Yeah, it's a good loot. Yeah. And then, do you remember what the second ability on it is, or is
not really? I think
it's not.
Or wait, no. Second ability on that one was anytime. I believe it is anytime an opponent targets you or a permanent you control, they have to pay 2 extra.
Right. Yeah. Actually, you know.
So I mean that could be.
Maybe I'm unreasonably hateful on them because I don't think they're going to be super powerful. Some of them do have pretty interesting effects. I mean, they're going to be fine. I just feel like they're going to be one of those cards that when I open stuff, I'm always going to open those. Mm-hmm. For some reason, they're just sticking out in my head as that common rare that I'm just going to have a million of. From cons, I will be very blatant in saying it was Flying Crane Technique. Ugh. I had 10 of those at one point in time. I hate that card. But
yeah, I think mine from cons was Icy Blast. I think I still have like 5 of those things. Mm-hmm. But I like the White Siege was pretty decent too. I can't remember the second ability does. The first one you just put a 1/1 counter on something. So I mean, it's usable. It's
no, yeah. I guess I'm too quick to judge sometimes. Yeah. I think that they'll have their places. They're definitely good in EDH. They will definitely have a home there. We'll have to wait and see if they can make something good of them in Standard.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting for sure. Even the standard meta right now is interesting. It seems like every other
constantly all over the place. Yeah. No one ever has an idea of what to play. There's just a constant battle for who's on top. It's basically we're playing rock, paper, scissors, but with like 14 different options, whereas this deck beats that deck and that deck beats this deck, but then if that deck's bad, then we're playing this one, and it's just a big, huge circle where everyone switches decks every 2 weeks, and then a different deck wins the tournament because the meta all of a sudden opened wide open for it, and there it goes. But that also makes for a very interesting Standard season.
Oh, indeed.
A lot better than last time. I'm so sick of Blue-White Control and Mono-Blue Devotion.
I like Mono-Blue Devotion.
You played Mono-Blue Devotion.
Well, that's why.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, it was, and that particular deck, it just, that one was kind of it ran itself kind of thing. And that's, it's fun for a little bit, but it's like even, like my modern burn deck, or even Merfolk deck for that matter, it's just, it almost runs itself. It's just
I mean, there's more decisions to make in Merfolk than in Burn. Burn, it's basically throw the lightning bolts at their face. If you can't get to 20 before you're dead, I guess you lose.
Yeah.
But that's why Standard is so interesting right now. I mean, there's 3 different whip strategies floating around. There's people playing around with, I've seen Mardu whip lists, which are weird. I could not understand them for the longest time. And I mean, they have value. It's there. It could be done. So I mean, that's 4 whip variants. That's 1 card housing 4 decks right there before you even look at anything else in the entire format. And that's a huge deal.
Yeah. And of course there's several combo deck lists.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 2 or 3 different ways that people are running around trying to make the Ascendancy combo still work in Standard. And I mean, it's still putting up results. It's not winning or dominating like people thought it would at the start of the format, but it's definitely still around, and it's a boogeyman that you gotta watch out for. You gotta bring that enchantment hate.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, even against Whip and Courser, it's
I mean, enchantment hate is standard. You just need it.
Yeah, for
Anything that anyone is doing, 9 times out of 10 is using an enchantment that's good.
Yeah, and I don't know about you. I'm getting sick of Siege Rhino. But I don't play the Scullers.
I play Siege Rhino.
Yeah, no, you do. Yeah. Oh, anything else we should cover?
No, I think we got pretty thorough. I mean, it's a small set, so we're not breaking too much ground here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another bunch of new cards, but it's no huge format shake-up, no rotation, no nothing crazy. Just adding more cards to the format, streamlining more decks.
What do you think about the new rare land? The what's it called? I can't even remember. I just looked at it and I was like, ugh, I'm bummed.
That's about the reaction that it needs. You don't even need to know the name.
Yeah,
it doesn't do good things. It's another Sliver Hive. It's another very situational, fun card, not good card.
Yeah, I don't know if that, other than maybe EDH, do you see that in anywhere constructed?
That'd be it.
Yeah, that's.
And then it would have to be a very streamlined particular deck for EDH. It's not even like, it's not it's not a mana confluence, that's for sure.
Yeah, the worst part about it is it's like, I can't think of it, Phyrexia's Core or something like that.
Phyrexian Core, yeah.
Yeah, it's Phyrexian Core, but only for dragons, which sucks.
Yeah.
But what do you do?
Yeah, such is life. We can't always have all good rares, otherwise there would be a power spike and we'd have to just keep having more and more ridiculous things, and next thing you know you'd be playing
I'm down.
7/7s for 3 mana and they'd do a million enter the battlefield triggers and it'd get so confusing. Like, they gotta bring the power level to a steady state so that we don't get out of control. Well, I already think Soulfire Grandmaster's pushing it. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's... Yeah, I potentially, like I said, it has to be built around, I don't know.
Definitely will have its place, though.
I don't know. It's hard to say, too. I mean, well, that's like even when they develop the stuff. I mean, you get some cards that, they develop, they don't mean it to be powerful, but then...
Look at Ascendancy.
Exactly.
They definitely didn't see that coming. Or Treasure Cruise.
Oh.
This set is full of cards that they obviously didn't see as being as powerful as they were going to be.
I feel like they almost underestimated Delve a little bit.
That's the thing, though. When you look at it on the face of it, you're like, oh, that card's terrible. I mean, it's not a particularly low number, but you don't realize how fast you actually throw things in your own graveyard. Like, it's not one of those things that you pay attention to in a game of Magic, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look, Treasure Cruise for 1 mana. And it happens all the time, and they didn't realize that it would happen all the time, and now they're...
I mean, especially if you build around it. I mean, if it's any type of, if you have any type of discard outlets or mill effects that you can use on yourself, even like, like Tormenting Voice or Actual, it should be kind of interesting to see is that, I can't think of the name, what is it, Wheel of Fortune 2.0 or whatever the hell it is.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember its name, but
like
I know it's in here.
Rakshasa Deal or something like that. Or Yeah.
Discard and draw more cards. I mean, it helps fill the graveyard.
I kind of want to see a mono black waste not deck with stuff like that in it.
See, I've been watching the forums online, and there are actually people playing around with the idea now. It seems like that card might be the one to bring it up to at least playable. It was never never viable before, because trust me, when it was first spoiled as a community card,
I was so psyched about it too.
It was a lot of fun, and it's still a fun card. It's just not competitive, and we'll have to see after this.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of discard effect right now in Standard. I mean, you've got I can't think of anything right now. It's late or whatever.
Let's see. There's Thoughtseize and Despise, and then you've got Sign in Blood, or not Sign in Blood. That's the draw card one. What's the other one?
Mind Rot.
Yeah, that's discarding cards.
And then there's another card in this set too. That's essentially it's Thoughtseize for 3. I can't remember what that's called, but it's the same thing as Thoughtseize, except for you don't take 2 damage. So.
Which is justifiable for the additional cost.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely not as good as Thoughtseize, but justified.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's possible. Plus, you've got your different creatures that have discard abilities. You've got that like Mardu Skull Hunter, just one that pops into my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I would love to see a card like that be something that's at least maybe not even winning, but at least viable. Like, go to an FNM, go 2-2, 3-1 if you're lucky. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's perfectly acceptable for a brew.
For me, it's kind of frustrating for me to look at a card and be like, that's really cool, and I want to play that card, but there's no way in hell I'm competitive with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where Villainous Wealth is for me. I love that card to death, and it's just
in Limited that I've played against that so many times in Limited, and it's just
it's just a good card in general. In limited, it's actually a fairly narrow scope because you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to get. Like, you're within one set.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're using it in standard, you know exactly what they're going to have. I mean, within the 5 to 8 cards that you're going to get to see of theirs.
And if you're playing anything with abs, then you can almost bet they're going to have Siege Round because...
Exactly. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You play 8 of them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody else does, I swear.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of cards like that I hope can become things with what shows up. Though we're still far too early in looking at card lists. I haven't even, like, no one's held a card yet that isn't in development.
Yeah.
Or a store owner opening for having their singles ready. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I'm pretty psyched for the set to come out.
Another new set's another new set.
Yeah,
I'm never going to complain until they stop coming out.
Yeah. I mean, yo.
Right, so I guess that's about it for tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed our very long and thorough look into Fate Reforged. Rant-filled?
Yeah.
Well, that makes it more fun, more interesting.
That was kind of
not just a monotone list.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I guess we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thanks.